Hello everyone, Carlos Flores, back on basics. So today's video is going to be about how to decode your memories, how to bring them back to the surface. Because remember, we've talked about your mind has multiple levels of memory, and it goes, like psychology says, it goes from short-term memory, which means it's temporary, to long-term memory. But the way that it's stored in long-term memory depends on how you code it, depends on how the memory is connected to something that it's easy for you to remember and bring it up. It's interesting. The mind is so interesting. It's something that got me into psychology. One of the things that memory does is it gives you snapshots, right, of the past. It gives you kind of reminders. It's if you can think of your phone as your brain doesn't sleep. It processes everything, even while you're asleep. Remember those dreams that you have? Remember those nightmares that you also have? Or whenever you get up thinking, did I forget to turn off the lights? Did I forget to lock the door? Did I forget to do this? It's your brain processing. Your brain does not rest unless you can slow it down a little bit. Remember, we talked about this in other videos by writing things down. So that way your brain can process less, but it's optimal by meditating, breathing exercises, physical exercise, like my short today while I was walking. I think I ended up walking 5.5 miles, which was great for me. And so it's amazing. But again, before we go deep into it, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Back on Basics 9985. Hit the notification button so you can see the new videos that come on board. Hit the like button so that way you can like this video. Again, decoding memory, remembering, right, what you stored on your mind. And then if you have a topic, put it in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to give you my take on the topic. You can also connect with me on Facebook at Carlos Flores Jr. and on Instagram at Back on Basics. So far we've talked about short-term memory, which is temporary, and then because in short-term memory, when you attach it to something, you code it to something, then it gets processed into long-term memory. And so psychology says the long-term memory is here. It's kind of like a hard drive of a computer. It's like the memory of the computer. It stores it sometimes in different places, and when your synapse and your connections connect, or they fire back and forth, that's how memory's brought back. I mean, if you look at a hard drive, the memory of the computer, that's where it came from. It came from the brain. It came from the idea of the brain of how it works and how memory can be stored and how to code it. So that way you can bring it back up. So remember, when you save a file, when you save a picture, when you save something in your computer and you put a name on it, right? You're actually coding the memory to something that you will remember what it is. And that way it'll be easy to bring up later. Well, the mind works the same way. And actually the mind is your mind is the one that, or your brain is the one that started that. And so let me give you an example, because memory and your brain is very important. And remember, right? If you do the physical, your brain will be optimal. If you do something mental and kind of sharpen your brain, then your physical will be optimal. Remember, this is a two-way street. It's either you want your brain and your body to be sharp, right? So that way you can go ahead and move and reach your goals, get to something that you want to get to, recall a memory. And so there's a lot of different ways to code memories. Something tragic happens. Sometimes the memory from that tragic event gets coded to a lot of different things. For example, it could get coded to a sense of a smell that you are smelling at the time that memory is being coded in to your long-term memory. It could be a person that you connected, and the person is the coding that happens. It could be a visual. It could be kind of like, it could be a song that you're listening to at that moment when that happens, when that tragic event happens, that connects it. And guess what? If it's, for example, a song, then all you need to do, and sometimes it's just listen to the song, and your mind is already coding and putting together your memory and bringing it up. There's a lot of different things. Remember, I've talked to you about me remembering when my dad and my grandpa and other people got kidnapped from the soccer field in El Salvador. My coding for that event, for that traumatic event, was the shirt of a Smurf that I was wearing. I was wearing a Smurf shirt, a blue one. I think it was I don't know if it's called Strong Smurf or the Smurf that is the strong of them all. So I remember, because, and sometimes when I watch the Smurfs on TV and I see Hefty, see again, right? My brain was racking up because I didn't know, but once I started talking about the Smurfs, I started visualizing the cartoon, and then I saw the picture and it connected to Hefty Smurf, the strong one, right? And so every time I watch, or most of the time when I watch Smurfs, it actually brings me back, especially with Hefty Smurf. It just brings me back. And because it was a very traumatic event for me, because I was right around 8. Yeah, 8. Chills. My hairs are standing on end right now, because not just because of what happened then, and because it affected a lot of my family members mentally, psychologically, and then also physically, but also because I'm actually connecting it right now, because remember, my dad just passed away about 2.5 weeks ago. And so that memory is like eliciting so many emotions right now. And I'm being honest with you. And that's the reason why it's so important to, if you can, code your memories, so that way they'll be easier to bring back. I'll give you another example. During the first grade, and I said this in another video, during the first grade, I learned the multiplication tables from 1 to 12. Like that, right? I could do them like that. That was in El Salvador, because it was the first grade. So, 48 years later, I'm in a classroom. I'm in a 6th grade classroom. We're actually doing multiplication, and I'm helping. I'm supporting. Remember, special education teacher. I'm supporting some of my kids on my caseload. And so one of the things that I'm doing is showing them how to recall multiplication tables, in addition to having a multiplication chart as their modification, not modification, an accommodation, so that way they can utilize it as well. But guess what? I was trying to multiply and multiply and multiply, and I wouldn't get the right answer in English. So what I ended up doing, I said, oh, my brain connected it, right? And then guess what? The multiplication tables with the coding, and guess what the coding was? The code was Spanish. What I realized at 48 years old is that I struggle remembering the multiplication tables when I do it in English, but when I do it in Spanish, ah. So I tell the kids that are English learners that sometimes you may not be able to remember things because you learned them earlier when you were going to school in Spanish. So sometimes we may have to switch until it crosses over, until we have to recode the multiplication tables into English. So for me, the multiplication tables would have to be recoded into English. But at my point right now, I'll just switch to Spanish because I can do that. So again, that's another example, right? So coding memories are important. Just remember, if you want to remember something, look around at that moment and say, is there something that is going to help me remember this memory? Is there a smell? Is there a taste? Is there a sight? Is there somebody talking? Is there somebody that will remind me not to talk to them, but just to see them, that they'll remind me of my memory? And that's how you code. That's how you can bring it up. That's how you can remember the memory, because all of your memories from when you are born, all the way until you pass are here. You just don't realize, you just have it. It's like a puzzle. You don't know what code it was connected to bring it up. So I'll give you one more example. When we were here when we first came to the United States, we actually moved, we kept on moving from Daly City to the outskirts of San Francisco to actually San Francisco. And so I got into wrestling, professional wrestling. I watched it. I mean, it's like a soap opera for guys, because it's like cliffhangers and this is happening and that is happening. What is happening to this guy, or what is happening to that person? And so that was around the time when WrestleMania 3 came along. That's when Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan were going to fight. And it was like, it was the epic of all battles, right? And the commercials were going. But at that time, there was no pay-per-view. So and because WrestleMania 3 took place at the Pontiac Silverdome in Michigan, unless you flew there and you pay thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars, you're not going to be able to see it unless you went to an arena or a special auditorium to watch closed circuit TV. Does anybody remember closed circuit TV? It's like you went there. It's kind of like the pay-per-view, but you pay a lot. Well, you pay considerably to go in there. So I begged my mom and dad, and I begged them. I said, I want to go see it. I want to go see it. I want to go see it. Finally, my dad and my mom said, sure. So it was my mom. My dad stayed home. It was my mom, my little brother, and I went to the Cow Palace. Remember the Cow Palace in San Francisco? So we went to the Cow Palace. We paid a hefty entrance fee for the three of us. I mean, my mom wasn't the happiest because it was expensive and it already had started. So we didn't even see all of it in closed circuit TV. So I remember that by the time we got seated, I don't know if we missed the first or second match, but all I remember is that the Can-Am Connection, and some of you remember this, Rick Martel and Tom Zink were battling Cowboy Bob Orton and somebody else, which I don't remember. It'll probably come up in a little bit. It just let my brain do that. So that when I was watching the main event though, Andre the Giant against Hulk Hogan, and it was in a big screen and everybody was cheering all around. Goosebumps right now. Goosebumps. And Andre did his thing, and then Hulk Hogan won for the slam, and the slam that heard around the world. And then guess what he did? Of course, like Hulk Hogan, for those of you that watch wrestling in the 80s, he hit the leg drop and then he got the 1, 2, 3. It was amazing. I'm getting chills. I mean, I'm seeing the pictures right now. I'm seeing us sitting down in the auditorium in the Cow Palace because it's dark and there's a big screen and it's showing it. And it was amazing because that was one of my first experiences that I actually coded to professional wrestling. It was great. So let's move forward. 48 years, actually less than 48 years later, because I'm 48. I went down to LA so that way my brother and I could help each other grieve after our dad passed. And he wanted to give me an early birthday present. And so what I didn't realize is that he actually gave me this. Hold on. Let me move it a little bit. See? All right there. So, this is a Funko Pop, right? To most people, it's just a regular Funko Pop. To me, this is a wonderful memory. It's Andre the Giant against Hulk Hogan in the ring of WrestleMania 3. I mean, it's amazing. Even Andre the Giant is taller than Hulk Hogan. It's lifelike. And so as soon as I saw it, I wanted to share with all of you, and I wanted to think of a topic that I can help you while showing you examples from my life on how I have coded memory so that way it comes back. This brings so much memories. I mean, goosebumps right now. I mean, almost tears because this was one of the best things. I mean, we were poor, but they got the money so that way the three of us can go watch it. And it wasn't even live, but it was still wonderful because we were all surrounded by thousands of fans that went to the Cow Palace. And so, again, to most people, this is just a Funko Pop. To me, this is one of the things, the image, it's what codes. The wrestling image is what coded my memory of going to the Cow Palace with my little brother and my mom, pen and arm and a leg, but just enjoying the main event of Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant. So, I mean, I don't even know where I'm going to put it, but I know it's one of my this gift to me means a lot because it connected all of us. It connected my mom, my brother, and I, and my dad because he said, "Yeah, just go ahead and do that." And it connected us to the audience, which is, I don't even remember a soul that was there. But we were connected because we watched that pay-per-view or that WrestleMania 3 on closed circuit TV. So, memory, it's amazing. That's the reason why I tell you to keep your mind sharp, right? Sleep, meditation, being mindful, being in the here and now. Because being in the here and now, you'll be able to stop and you'll be able to look around and find a code so that way you can put the memory that you want to keep. That's going to be in here. All memories are going to be in here, but the code will help you bring it up whenever you want to. So that's the importance of coding memory. And that's a very, very important topic in psychology that I wanted to share with you. And again, I showed you 3 examples of how I still remember. Goosebumps are still going on about the slam heard around the world. So Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Back on Basics 9985. Hit the notification button so that way you can get notified of any new videos coming on. Like this video, coding memory, so you can retrieve it. Any topics, put them in the comment section. Till next time, Back on Basics.